President Cyril Ramaphosa is hosting his Kenyan counterpart at the Union buildings today. Both parties are hoping to strengthen economic and diplomatic ties when talks commence after 10 o'clock. According to the presidency, South Africa exported 7.5 billion rands worth of goods to East Africa's biggest economy last year. Ramaphosa is expected to welcome President Uhuru Kenyatta with a special ceremony this hour. Our reporter Masego Rahlaga is there to witness that. Masego, billions of rands worth of trade between South Africa and Kenya. So this is a crucial meeting for President Ramaphosa.
It is indeed a very crucial meeting between the two heads of state, Tafuma. You can imagine if the pandemic did not hit and ports of entries were not closed between the two countries, what would have happened? So basically, we felt a pinch. Both countries felt a huge pinch because of the year 2020 in particular, when most of the countries were closed. But also what's interesting is that President Uhuru Kenyatta will be taken to Gqeberha at Aspen, where we manufacture the Johnson & Johnson vaccine here in South Africa, and he'll be shown around at that particular plant. So what's important there is the fact that our president was traveling around the world, getting world economies to remove patency on their vaccines so that African countries can gain access. But this particular visit will be about Africa actually creating its own. But I am with a very important minister when it comes to what we hear for today, Minister Ibrahim Patel of Trade and Industry. Minister, thank you so much for your time. Tafuma, I actually stopped him while he was moving, and he did say that he would wait with us. Thank you, Minister, for your time. Trade and industry, 7.5 billion rand traded in terms of export from here to the Republic of Kenya. But we export more that side compared to how much they export this side. Are we expecting it to change after today's meeting?
Well, one of the biggest drivers of growth for the South African economy is intra-regional trade, is being able to integrate African economies and unlock huge opportunity. We sell a range of products from machinery to vehicles to all sorts of products to Kenya. And there's enormous scope to bring more Kenyan goods into our economy, particularly tea, cut flowers, and other products like that. Because Kenya is a very significant producer of tea. The whole idea of the African Continental Free Trade Area is so that we as African countries begin to displace products that we're currently importing from other parts of the world, and we trade with each other. So in the discussions that we will have today, that will be a big part of the focus. I will also be meeting with my colleague, the Trade Minister of Kenya, to see practically how we can build a strong relationship. And of course, in any trade relationship, you need to buy and you need to sell. And we need to find ways in which we complement each other. So that will be a very big part of the conversation today.
And of course, very important to mention that the year 2020 was a difficult one. We're talking about two states. We are very strong economically in the SADC region. They are very strong in East Africa economically as well. So how did the year 2020 affect trade between these two countries?
Well, our trade numbers dropped dramatically, particularly South African exports to Kenya. And it was a function of the lockdowns in our own economy, challenges in getting goods moving across borders, and of course the depressed demand everywhere else in the world, including in Kenya. But we need to recover as quickly as possible from that and then deepen the level of trade. Last year was a blow to industry, and this year we've seen some very positive signs of businesses getting back to normal, but with enormous continuing challenges. One of the big aftershocks of COVID-19 is the disruption in global supply chains. I visited auto plants in South Africa a few weeks ago, and a number of them had downtime during 2021, even though we had no lockdowns that affected working hours at these plants. But semiconductors, which is a key component used in the manufacture of automobiles, had been disrupted globally. The same storyline we're seeing now with clothing, where fabric imports have been disrupted. It makes the argument more cogently for African countries trading with each other. And so unlocking the potential of trade with Kenya is important. And of course, we also want to welcome Kenyans to visit South Africa as tourists and as business people, investing in businesses in South Africa that creates jobs for South African citizens. Similarly, in Kenya itself, there's enormous opportunities for South African businesses to be there. We're already there in the banking sector and in a range of other parts of the Kenyan economy. And so we're looking at the economic relationship being a trade relationship, but also an investment relationship. Kenya is an absolute pillar in the East Africa community, and that means in the long term South Africa has to build strong relationships with Kenya, and this visit is about unlocking those opportunities.
Any concern from government at all, whether in your particular portfolio or the entire government, on the safety in Kenya, safety and security in Kenya, because of its close proximity to Sudan and Ethiopia? Any concern there to try and assist, especially because our president is AU chair?
So obviously, for us, a strong trade agreement rests on stability across the continent. East Africa, West Africa, Southern Africa, Northern Africa, all parts of the continent needs to have peace and stability. When there is massive instability, it discourages investment, it disrupts the flow of goods and people in different areas. So I have no doubt that the concerns that there are in promoting peace and stability will be one of the issues that will come up today, not just in respect of East Africa, but the continent as a whole. Kenya and South Africa has a common objective in ensuring peace and stability. Kenya also is, of course, very interested in the security of pharmaceutical products, the supply of pharmaceuticals, and the Kenyan president is visiting the Aspen plant in Gqeberha, where there would be a very significant opportunity to show the production of the J&J vaccine here in South Africa. That's a big step forward for Africa having some capacity to produce. And more than 120 million doses of the J&J vaccine has now been produced here in South Africa. Most of it is now going to the rest of the African continent, supplying South Africa, supplying our neighbors, supplying Africans across the continent. Because in the early stages of the rollout of vaccines across the world, Africa stood at the back of the queue. By having the capability to produce that vaccine here locally, we can make sure that African lives are given the right priority, because an African life is as important as the life of any person anywhere on earth. And so we've objected very strongly as Africans at the way in which our health needs have been placed so low in the list of global priorities. But we need to change that ourselves, and we need to change it with a strong industrialization push. South Africa already has been producing medical grade face masks and hand sanitizers and ventilators and a range of medications, from anesthetics to vitamins and zinc tablets and so on, all of them geared to unlocking the opportunity and making sure that we produce locally that which we need in order to fight the pandemic.
Thank you so much, Minister Ibrahim Patel of Trade and Industry. We'll see you a little bit later on. You'll still be with the delegation with the President, right?
Indeed.
All right. So we'll see Minister Ibrahim Patel a little later on, Tafuma. So there you go, some information on what is hoped to happen after today's meeting. As you heard, we export quite a lot. Actually, Kenya is, our highest export partner in the African continent, but they don't export much this side. I'm sure you'd know that when you go to the store, what you get from Kenya is usually their tea or coffee. Yeah. So I think today the Kenyan president will try and see if they can get more business and more trade or more export from their country into South Africa.
Well, Masego, thank you so much, and thank you for being able to grab Minister Patel. The Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta set to be welcomed by President Ramaphosa later this morning.